Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the ultimate in Final Fantasy podcasts. I am your host, Caleb.
And I am Joe.
And today we have yet another video game review for you guys. We are going to be reviewing Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, My Life as a Darklord.
Took us 2 weeks to get to here, Schweiss?
Yeah, it was... So we recorded last week's episode on Monday, I think, didn't we?
Yeah.
And
now we're recording this one on Tuesday, so we're going to just keep on pushing it down.
That's right, until eventually we convince ourselves that we didn't skip a week because we did it one Friday and then the very next Saturday.
So next Wednesday, same time, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
Always Wednesday, always Wednesday.
So yeah, this game, it was a little harder than expected, and should have only taken a week, and it took 2. The how long to beat time was actually pretty accurate, and I thought it was lying, but it wasn't. I think it was at like 17 hours. That's where my game was at. So yeah, an unexpected long game in the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles series. However, Crystal Bears is solidly at about 12 hours, so should be able to plow through that one pretty quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, do you want to get started? We can talk about development.
Let's do it. What do you got for us?
Okay, so there's not much on this game.
Oh, what?
No.
There's not... Wait, so there's not a whole, heap of development information on this straight to WiiWare title?
Straight to WiiWare, like it's straight to video.
Yeah, exactly.
That same camp. Yeah, there's not much. WiiWare title only. And the Wii store is closed down, so... You basically can't get this game anymore. Somehow it doesn't go under our umbrella of mobile game, which we don't review on the show, but sure, WiiWare title. I guess it's in that weird in-between space between like a real video game and a phone game.
Yeah, which really could just be a phone game now. Yeah.
Yeah. So My Life as Darklord was directed by Hiroyuki Kaneko, produced by Takamasa, Shiba, and Hiroyuki Iwano. The game designer, the lead designer, was Hiroyuki Kaneko as well. The main artist, who's been the artist for the entire series of Crystal Chronicle games, was Yasuhisa Izumisawa. The writers were Motomu, Toriyama, and Sachie Hirano, which I believe also wrote My Life as a King. The composer was the same composer as all the other games. I don't think Crystal Bears actually has the same composer, but I think this composer has been around for all the Crystal Chronicle games, including the one where they were the first one where they had 2 other composers with them. But this was Kumi Tanioka, and yeah, a WiiWare title that was released in Japan on June 30th, 2009. So this is the second in the Crystal Chronicle series to be released in 2009. I think Crystal Bears was also released in 2009, so they really just were pushing them out like crazy. It was released in PAL regions on July 17th, 2009, and here in North America, it was released on July 20th. 2009. But it was all apparently announced at a game developers conference on March 25th that same year, and a demo version was later released for download for free on the Wii Shop channel for a short time in early 2010, which of course you cannot access now. So that's really it. I mean, mostly it was the people who made My Life as a Darklord. They all just came over and made this game, too.
You mean My Life as a King?
My Life as a King, I'm sorry, yeah. This is going to be difficult. So yeah, it's basically the same people made that game that made this game. We assumed incorrectly on the My Life as a King review that these were like the same game.
Yeah, that's what someone had told us.
Yeah.
And I guess, even story-wise, it's not really the same game.
No.
So it's not really the same game at all.
No, but I'll tell you about story-wise.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
This review is going to be 20 minutes long, by the way.
Yeah. And sorry it took so long to record it.
Yeah.
We've both been done for a while.
Yeah, we have been. So the story. It's set after the events of My Life as a King. So not at the same time like we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, which would have been cooler.
Because in My Life as a King, you're trying to defeat the Darklord as the King of Patarak.
Yeah.
Knick-knack, Patarak, give a dog a bone.
Yeah. The king of that, of course.
So you're sending all these, warriors and adventurers, and you're sending them up these, dungeons and towers, and you're slowly getting to the Darklord's area, and then eventually you have to defeat the Darklord himself.
Right.
In this game, it's kind of the opposite, but it takes place later. So I thought you were going to play the Darklord and, do the opposite end, but no. This is Final Fantasy, therefore everything is linear, therefore you can't have alternate endings or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
So this has to take place 20 years later, and of course the Dark Lord was in fact defeated. So this is about the daughter, the only daughter of the Dark Lord, who after her 16th birthday, I guess becomes the Dark Lord herself.
Yeah.
I guess. It decides to start a war again. With the monsters and the humanoid races of the land.
You can't really call them humans necessarily.
No, but I am going to shorthand call them humans.
All right.
Just for ease. And they're, in case, I don't want to offend any aliens out there, or some Neanderthals. I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that.
Gotta be careful. To really get on you for that.
Yeah,
stuff.
These days you can't be too careful.
No, you can't be too careful these days. So she becomes a Dark Lord herself, decides to start a war between the monsters and the humans again, and she wants to defeat all the do-gooders who attack her floating castle.
Yeah, I don't know how you get attacked in a floating castle.
I don't know either. You land, and you're like, come on up.
Yeah.
And then you trap the heroes, I guess. And she takes that from town to town, basically, eventually ending up in Patarak, of course. Igniting war in every single town.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. You're a warmonger.
Yeah. Anyway, she has a bunch of Tonberry servants that are tasked with finding famous heroes for her to destroy. But her biggest lead, basically, which the Tonberries called the Striped Brigands, turns out not to have any treasure. So that, makes her mad. And that's, a big plot thing in this plotless game. And then next they find another, big adventurer who turns out to be Princess Fiona of Alphateria.
Yeah.
Who wants Mira to create peace between the monsters and all the races. And apparently this affects Mira, and she doesn't kill her. And then the game goes on. Then there's some drama with the Tonberries betraying her. Basically, she thinks so, and conspiring with the Stiltskin Moogle guy.
Yeah, your favorite guy. Huh?
Yeah, Stiltskin, Rumpelstiltskin, who has been sewing thread this entire time.
Yeah.
Golden whatever. Okay. Who has been in all these Crystal Chronicle games, as far as I know.
Yeah,
as a minor side part, which I never paid attention. The only thing I've ever paid attention to was that his name was Stiltskin.
Yeah.
So there must be some deep lore with this thing, and the one Crystal Chronicle Nazi fan out there that's listening to this review is going to be Stiltskin's the key to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You don't have the Crystal Chronicles without the Stiltskin.
No.
You don't understand.
Anyway, he's been in all the Crystal Chronicle games that I remember. But anyway, he's there conspiring with the Tonberries, apparently, which makes Mira mad. But then she meets with the Dark Lord himself, which I thought he was defeated. I don't know what happens there. And then she defeats like another big warrior, and then she gets to Patarak, and she defeats the King of Patarak, which of course you played in the previous game.
Yeah. Cool thing about this, it names him after whoever you named him in your game. If you have a save file for My Life as a King.
Oh, really?
Yes, but we didn't notice that because we just left it as King Leo.
Default. Oh shit.
Yeah. So it does it defaultly if you don't have the game, or if you left it default in the game. But if we would have named it like Joe 1234, that would have been the name of the hero that would have came.
Like Cock Goblin or something like that.
Yeah, Knob Gobbler.
Knob Goblin. So after defeating the King of Patarak, of course, dies like
really
a chump.
Easy fight, by the way.
Jesus, so easy. She suddenly decides to reveal her plans for peace after defeating everybody. Between
America.
Fuck yeah.
Suing for peace after won the fucking war, yeah. Yeah, man.
Anyway, she then reveals her plans for peace between the humans and the monsters after killing a shitload of people.
A ton of people. So many people.
So many
Especially if you grind out levels, you kill those poor level 1 guys for just hours.
Okay.
Grinding in the game.
So yeah, that's the story. And it's not really voice acted or anything. It's just emotional sounds.
Yeah. It's just
in between arcade levels.
Here, let's do the yeah. And then it's like and then the Tonberry's like sounds like a bunch of turkeys mixed with something else going on. That's
exactly what it is.
That's the voice acting for this game. That we just covered all of the bases.
And we just covered all of the dialogue.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. You want to move on? Do you have anything to say about story? It's whatever. It's like a little arcade story. It was fine.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, it was kind of weird when she started drop kicking the Tonberries around and stuff, but I don't know. It was really light and it was really simple and really easy going. So I don't really have any problems with the story in the game. But yeah, it was just kind of they wanted to throw something together to make this game Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles rather than just Tower Defense Sim 2009. So it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It was kind of goofy, kind of silly.
Yeah. It was too lighthearted for how brutal the game became at certain points. That's for damn sure. I was like, how could you be cheery at this time? These guys are destroying us. These guys are laying waste to me over and over again. Good God.
So yeah, gameplay. Let's get to it. So it's a literal tower defense game.
Yeah, a very extremely literal presence. I think
you have a tower.
Yeah.
And you must defend it.
Yeah. That's I think
the game.
Took
that's
a
the
weird...
whole game. We can move on from the gameplay.
Yeah, I think the guys who were tasked in making the game had never seen what a tower defense game actually is, and so they took a very literal definition. Oh, you have a tower and you defend it. Really what it is you defend an area with towers, generally, that you set up, and they do certain moves and hurt certain enemies in a certain way, and it's just like this game, but you make the towers and you're defending your core, like League of Legends, you're defending the Nexus. That's what you do in most tower defense games.
Yeah.
No, in this one you're in a floating tower and you fly around and you start the fight. And people try to invade you, and you defend your tower.
Yeah.
So,
I guess I would say it's an interesting twist
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to actually fly the fucking tower around. That was probably about the last thing that I had thought it was going to be. And then that's what it was. So
well, it's not really much of a tower. It's like a floor.
Yeah.
There's like her bedroom and the floor. And then as adventurers are running up, you actually have to add levels to the tower. And you have like a max amount of floors that you can add. And you kind of have to do that all strategically as the game goes on. Eventually ending, I think you can have 30 floors at the end. I maxed that shit up near the end because I needed it. But yeah, so that's kind of how the game works. You have a certain amount of points you can spend. The level will start. Certain guys will start coming in of different types, and you have to put the right floor in and the right monsters on each floor to counter them as they rise up. And there's like timing involved, and when their timer goes down, they'll move on to the next floor regardless of what you're doing. So it's kind of balancing all those elements out that lets you defeat all the enemies as they come towards you.
Yeah, the counter system in the game for the classes, it's basically just a rock paper scissors thing. But it does have a little bit of a twist. There are like unclassified people, I guess, that don't have a certain class. They're just kind of like unknowns in Pokemon or whatever. They have no element to them. And those ones you have to figure out. Like if they're really quick, you have to find a monster that attacks very quickly to kind of like keep them in a spot, because when you damage somebody, it delays their little timer. Whenever any action happens, their little timer that lets them move to the next floor is delayed. So there are a lot of them where you have to just add your like level 1 or your like fucking squirrel guys, the moos, and just have them just lay waste to them extremely slowly just to keep them on that floor so that you don't fucking lose instantly when they fly through the rest of the map, you know?
Most of my strategy, I mean, there was the rock, paper, scissors, so there's the warrior guys, there's ranged attack, and then there's magic, and like magic creams out the warriors will kill the ranged, and the ranged somehow destroy the magic.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the rock, paper, scissors thing that you're talking about.
Well, I mean, it's like paper destroying rock. It's like, really?
And
have you never thrown a rock through a piece of paper before?
And there's some floors that will damage enemies, but the enemies are damaging the floors if you don't have anybody there, and then the monsters and stuff like that. Some enemies have extreme healing capabilities. Some are really fast, and the faster they are, the faster they're going to climb up your tower without taking damage from you, without you delaying them.
And the more fuckface they are, too.
Yeah. And so eventually, and this took some time to figure out, eventually the strategy becomes get a couple really good leveled up floors for each like guy that you're going to face, and then delay the shit out of them with the what's the delay floor called?
The slow floor or the like madhouse thing?
The madhouse thing.
It's a madhouse.
It's like the ragdoll floor, I think.
Yeah, it's something weird. I can't remember.
And it costs very little, so you see 3 guys coming towards you, and they're all like, let's say they're all warriors, just to keep this simple. The strategy is to do one floor that's going to cream the shit out of a warrior. Okay? And then right when they're coming up the tower, you put those ragdoll floors like crazy. And then when they're in the ragdoll floors, you then put buffer ragdoll floors in between them to slow them down even more and wait for that warrior fucker to get up to that top thing. That eventually became the whole strategy, because like even like the red mages, who are the biggest assholes in this game,
yeah, they do sick damage to basically everybody.
Their damage is disgusting, and they're fast as fuck. What you want to do is just delay the shit out of them. That's all you do.
My red mage thing became just have the Ochus leveled up and then poison them on each floor.
I never used the floors because the floors would take up all my points that I needed for my ragdoll shit.
See, I only got up to like 12 floors a couple times.
Wow.
Like,
I fucking maxed that shit out.
oh my God, we had totally different approaches to this game. That's kind of surprising. My strategy near the end, so rock, paper, scissors, right? If you have a rock and a rock fighting each other, they kind of negate the damage. So what I ended up doing is I found out that the magic guy, I can't remember what it is, the ghost or the shade or whatever, that's like the higher level magic dude, the higher tier magic, he will actually defend the core. So he'll defend the floor, because there are these archer fucknecks who are called thieves in the game, and they will run in, they will shoot the floor itself, and they will run right the fuck out. So what I had to do is I would place one of these guys, and you have to level him up at least once, and then he will defend the floor with his life. So like when she tries to shoot the floor, when the archer tries to kill the floor, which is honestly the most devastating thing that they can do to you in this game.
Yeah, if it's the floor with your monsters on it, yeah. Yeah,
you spent 400 lapis or whatever the hell the currency is in this game to make this floor really awesome, and this fucking asshole just comes up and one-shots the floor, blows it up completely, and then skips to the next floor. And now when that happens 3 times in a row, which has happened to me before, the rage you feel is uncontrollable. Because there was one point where I was already fighting a couple dudes, and then three of those thieves come up, and they just they skip the floors that the other dudes are fighting on. So that's one of the things you got to worry about, is the RNG of the timing of the game. Mm-hmm. If there's already an enemy adventurer on a floor, they'll go to the next floor. But what would happen is the one thief would go to the next floor, and she would one-shot the rest of that floor's health, and then the one behind her would pass her, go to that next floor, one-shot that one, and by the time it was over, there were 3 of them at the very top of my tower just coming for the crystal, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, fuck. So yeah, my strategy was to, if I had a bunch of ranged guys, so if I had those thief shits coming in, I would just create ranged floors. So I'd create the defensive poison heart floors, and they would shoot that poison harp thing, and it would do nothing, because they're the same type. There's no weakness there. And also the poison ones, they deal damage over time because you poison the enemies, and as they continue up, they take small poison damage. So that was a bonus too. Until of course the warriors came in, and they would just chunk the ranged floor to pieces, and that's when I started doing I'd create those magic shade guys, and they would defend the floor, basically. And there's a lot of strategy, and there's a lot of different ways you can play this game. I did the freak show floors kind of a bunch near the end too, just to kind of keep them away, And it would suck because you would have your floor, you'd make a god floor for killing a melee guy, and the melee guy would get stuck up on another floor, and he wouldn't go to that floor, and then the fucking ranged guy, the ranged enemy you have, would go to that floor, and he would just start mopping.
Well, dude, that's why you gotta have the delay thing. You can control basically when they go up to those floors by putting more floors in front of them and putting floors in between each guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because you're able to control that timing, you're also able to control Bahamut at a max level 5, right? You can level up your guys in between fights. At that max level, he's a sick motherfucker, but it takes forever to load his time up. But even those fast guys coming up there and just doing the one shot and then they leave, if your guys are poised and ready to go with their timers all the way filled up, they will get hits on him. Yeah. So the entire strategy for me was just delay floors strategically after I figured out kind of what everything was going to get killed by.
Yeah, there's a lot of trial and error in the game. There's a lot of failing, which is infuriating.
Which is why the game is 17 hours long. Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a really great grind spot in this game, and I discovered this because I was I was getting real pissed. I was at the end of, I think it was week 4 or chapter 4 in the game, and I was like, dude, I can't fucking beat this thing. It's insane. Because the in-between levels, you have your your final level, which is like your final dungeon of that chapter, and then you have the in-between levels. The in-between levels are like, they're usually really, really easy, especially compared to the boss levels. The only time that's not the case for me anyway was the last chapter, where there were like 3 levels in there that were like sick as fuck for me. But what I found was in the it's a dungeon called the Nalgri Plain 4, and you need to have a couple of prerequisites done. You need to fully upgrade the Moo monster. So your little monster called Moo, you need to fully upgrade him. Go to this Nalgri Plain 4. You start the match out by playing 2 offense floors with the iron ball. Then you add 3 fully upgraded Moos to each floor. You set a timer for 5 minutes. You come back, you get 138 karma, which is what you use to level up and purchase new things.
Not very much, but you didn't do anything for it.
Yeah, and then you, which is about 1,656 per hour, and you don't have to do jack shit. You just have to come in, set up the 2 floors, go away, set a timer for 5 minutes, come back, rinse and repeat.
That's a real Joe Core move you pulled there, Schweiss.
Yeah, kinda. I was like, you know what, I'm getting sick of this game. I want to find one that, like... And at first I was just doing, like, the tough ones, and then I was getting sick of the tough ones. I was like, these are... I don't want to do it if I'm going to possibly die, because I forgot...
Yeah, because then you get hardly any points.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to one of the early ones and see, like, what the grind is, and then I did it legitimately. Like, I set up the floors and was ready to kill, and then I noticed it was, like... super chump change, like easy. And I was like, oh, well, what if I just did the Moo, because they're super fast? What if I just did like 2 floors of these guys? What would happen? And then I did that, and I was like, oh my god. And so what I did is I kept going through the gnarly plains levels, and I was like, how far down the rabbit hole can I go with these Moo guys? So I did it with 1, 2, 3, and then eventually 4, and that was where, like, after that I was like, okay, I can't do Moo after gnarly 4. So that's when I decided to sit, and that's when I messaged you.
Level.
Yeah.
The fucking level names. Bro, you gotta get to gnarly 4.
Yeah. You're sitting at a gnarly 2 right now, bro. You need to get to gnarly 4. Gnarly 4 is where it's at. But, the first half of this game is really fucking easy.
Oh, it's fucking easy, man.
It's so easy, and you're like, man, I am crushing this game.
Yeah.
I'm just destroying it. There are 5 chapters. I'm done with 2 of them already in one sitting. Like,
that's right.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be game over.
Yeah,
and then you get to,
I have texts of confidence between me and you, because I've been like, yeah, man, plow, bro. And then
yeah. Let's see. Let's read what happened here.
I can't remember. It's gonna be pretty far back, actually. But yeah, so ready, and then it was like it really just threw a wrench in chapter 3. It just decided to be a cock monster at the end. And eventually, Schweiss, I did every single level. Like, I did all the extra levels just because the game is brutal otherwise.
Yeah, doing extra levels in this also will give you a higher starting karma count. So karma is the currency you use in battle to purchase monsters, purchase floors, do all of your management, your leveling up. And the base karma that you get is actually kind of shitty. But by doing the extra dungeons in the game, which is a very Schweisscore thing to do, right? You get a higher starting karma rate. So by the end, my starting karma was like, it was like 800 or 900 or something like that. So like we got quite a bit, but we only got that by doing the optional dungeons. I didn't do every single one because I didn't get the celestial shards, but I did do all of the ones that gave me the extra karma bonus. So like when I saw it was an item, which is what it'll be like I don't know, like tooth necklace or some shit, like some random item name.
Yeah.
Those are always the ones, or the one that disturbed me, it was called Immoral Corset. I'm like,
what?
Yeah, I'm like, this is a 16-year-old protagonist here. So you've unlocked the Immoral Corset. Try it on now. Yeah. Like, thanks, Japan. But it's worth it. It's way worth it to do those extra missions, because having that much extra currency in the beginning of the match is a real game changer. And I don't know, like I thought this game was pretty damn fun, even though it was exceptionally brutal at times. Like, it was really satisfying finally figuring out like one of multiple strategies needed to take a mission down. And the fun thing is like, I was getting so pissed at this one level. It was like at the end of chapter 4, I think. I was like so enraged. I was trying to look it up online, like strategies to win. Mm-hmm. And I followed one of this guy's strategies, and I got my ass kicked even faster than I did by myself. So, like, there's no way to truly... I mean, there is a way to truly do it, but it's so different based on, like, how leveled up your beasts are compared to the people in the guides. Like, there's so many variables present that...
Yeah.
It's kind of a game that you have to figure out yourself, almost.
I got stuck at the end of chapter 3 is when I think I sent a text to you saying, fuck, this game is hard, fuck.
Yeah, and I hadn't started it yet, and I was like, sure, Joe.
And and I looked online to find a guide. It was like an IGN guide. It was like the only guide. And
yeah,
that guy's strategy like sucked ass. And then of course, last week I think I talked about there's a Russian dude who played this game through.
Yeah.
And I think for that level I did end up doing like something similar to what he did, but I watched him, but the timing's always just a little bit different.
Yeah,
and the timing is so important, so you kind of do, you can kind of generally know like what floors you need, but otherwise it is just kind of your own strategy and figuring out your own timing, because it's your own game, and your timing on like when you press things affects how the game's timing is.
Yeah, because when you go into your build menu, it pauses the game, right?
Yeah.
But depending on when you do that, which should be instantly after you see what's coming next, that'll decide like how much of a warm-up time your monsters have, because they have their little active time battle meters that fill up as time goes on, and it resets when they attack, or when they're placed it starts from anew, and then also when you level them up it resets it. Mm-hmm. So there are like a million different things in this game that will decide what gets attacked when, and it's especially necessary to watch when you have like a really fast enemy, because there are times where there are really fast enemies that'll come in and you won't even get a hit in. They'll just take a pot shot at something, and they'll run up to the next floor. And one of the things I started doing near the end, I was like, all right, I don't need to have one floor dedicated to one type every single time. Like, I loved having my, like, slaughter floors, my killing floor.
Yeah.
Where, like, I would have 3 ranged guys, and the mages would come up and just get fucking owned. Like, just get ripped to a million pieces, and, like, 2 shots, they're just fucking dead. And it was so beautiful, and I was like, I don't need to have that. And so what I started doing was having one of each type on each floor. Or staggering it, like 2 of the main types that counter what I'm running into right now, or or I would have, a lot of times I do like 1 melee, 1 magic, and then a healer, just to keep those 2 alive. And then the next floor I do a magic, a ranged, and a healer, and stuff like that. So like there are so many ways to play this game. And the healer class is really useful to keep your floors and shit alive. I don't know if you ever really use those with your strategy.
No.
But they would heal the floor up, they would heal your monsters, all sorts of stuff. But honestly, it always hurts to add a healer, because you can only have 3 slots maximum per like offensive floor. Yeah. And then the defensive floors, it kind of depends. There are some with 2 slots, there are some with 1, there are some with all 3.
Dark Dresser was my default, so I always had 2, like basically on every floor.
Oh, so you would have... Wait, so you had the defensive one?
Yeah, it was just like a heavy-duty floor, right? Dark Dresser.
Yeah, I almost never used that after.
Yeah, and it was a low-cost one.
Yeah,
so
it's cheapy.
That helped with my delay strategy. So I would only have kill floors, basically. I did do it a couple times where I had a mixed floor, but I would just basically do like, 2 level 5 behemoths, or behemoths, whatever they are, and then 2 level 5 Ochus, 2 level 5 minions, and you can pretty much kill anything in the game with those things as long as it's the right guy to the right floor.
Yeah.
And then you just, you delay like fucking crazy with the...
I think that's funny how we both played it like totally differently.
Yeah. So that's interesting how they can work. And we both had trouble in the same spots, basically. It was like end of Chapter 3, second half of Chapter 4, and 0 levels on Chapter 5 were hard, which was annoying. But yeah, level 3 at the end, and then good chunk of level 4, Chapter 4.
And Chapter 5 was actually kind of tough for me.
Oh, Chapter 5, I plowed.
There were about 3 levels that I had to do at least 3 times.
Chapter 5 is when I was perfecting my strategy, though.
Yeah, so I think yours is probably the stronger strat. And that's kind of what I did to get through those levels, is I just started delaying the shit out of them. I was like, don't have enough to kill him, so I'm just going to make him take a little bit longer. But yeah, I don't know, I think...
But the final level was easy for both of us?
Oh yeah, I didn't die once on the final fight.
Same here.
It was super easy, and it was disappointingly easy, to be honest. And it's
after
that's
level 4 raped me.
Yeah, after the final thing in level 4, I'm like, God, the king is a little shitbag. Like, this is years later. He's still a little kid.
Well, he never had any combat experience. He was a city planner, to be fair.
Oh yeah. Also, what I said is like, man, this is no wonder they kept him back at town. Like, Jesus, this is sad. Even Chime, like the little chick that helped you build in the My Life as a King game, she was way more threatening than this guy.
Yeah. Yep.
They all had Stiltskin working too. He's such a backstabbing little motherfucker. Stiltskin is just like the little finger of the fucking Crystal Chronicles universe. He's just all up in there like creating chaos.
That's how Crystal Bears is going to end. It's like
yeah.
It's going to be like a Wizard of Oz moment where he's like looking at this like deep, like looking the Dark Lord in the face, and then it like starts flickering, and he sees a guy he sees like a little white tuft of fur behind a curtain.
Yeah,
and he's going to open it, and it'll be Stiltskin.
Yeah, chaos is a ladder. We're all liars here, Kupo. Like, fuck. Yeah, it's fucking... And then he just stabs you to death, and that's how it ends. I'd be like, wow, this is a 10 out of 10 right here.
Can you guess my first name?
Yeah.
It rhymes with rumble.
Yeah. And then he just stabs your character in the stomach. You fucking bleed out. Last thing you see is Stiltskin. I think that would be pretty fucking sweet.
Apparently, there's 2 Crystal Chronicle games that were in development, and they just like unofficially canceled them. They became vaporware.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have had 2 more of these fuckers.
God.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the gameplay, kind of the overall. What'd you think of the game, though?
I do think it's pretty damn fun, to be honest. I would have made this game about 10% better, though. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, I would have had
programming experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would have made, I would have really tied it into the My Life as a King stuff. So, like adventurers that you have saved on your My Life as a King save file, I would have tried to use their names and stuff. So instead of saying like trainee, it would be like whatever characters you had by the end of the game that were like level 1. So I wish they would have pulled more from your save data from the previous game, especially with how connected they are. I thought that would have been cool. I think it's fun that they did that for the final character, the final battle, but I don't know. I think they could have done a little bit more with that.
Yeah, there are, to be fair, like 3 DLCs after this. Like there's 3 more chapters worth of levels that you could have bought for 600 Wii points.
You know what sucks? I have that much, but I can't access that part of the store. So you can still access the regular store itself and spend all the Wii points you have, but you can't access the DLC stuff through this or My Life as a King.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to play the other levels in this thing. Like, I mean, part of me is done forever, but part of me was like, that was actually pretty damn fun. I want to see what else there is.
I had a good time. I mean, it's a good time-wasting game. It would be something that if they put, once again, another Crystal Chronicle thing, if they put it on phones, like on the Android marketplace, This would actually be, and they could milk that one, right, for every DLC thing. Like,
yeah,
just like it becomes Candy Crush. You just like keep on fucking going.
Yeah, and I think it'd be a pretty good idea. It'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, it would be a good fun game to have. I mean, it's hardly much of a game in the swath of games that we played for this show. This is the least of a full game experience.
Even less than My Life as a King, you think?
Even less than My Life as a King. Like that had some.
That's true. This one could have been put on the phones like in 2006.
It could have been.
And My Life as a King probably couldn't have.
Yeah. So out of all the games, this would be the best on mobile or as a Flash game. It really does feel like a Flash game, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny that it's the more expensive of the two games, My Life as a King and My Life as a Darklord. I think it was the one that was 750 Wii points.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this one was a little pricier.
Yeah. So that's just funny to me. But yeah, it's a fun game. The game, I think it might be the most solid of all the Crystal Chronicle games. Like in terms of its like streamlined design, there's no problems with the game.
No stacking.
Yeah, there's no glitches. There's no like weird controls. Like there isn't fucking crystal bears. I'm going to tell you that right the fuck now. Crystal bears, God, dude. Oh fuck, man. You're going to get into that shit.
Am I?
Oh yeah, you are.
Oh god, I can't deal with any more rage.
It's the worst Wiimote use ever. It's the worst. I've like tried things like backing up from my television, like resetting the sensor bar. The thing is a dickhole. It's awful.
God, why do we have to have Wii titles? Like,
that's for next week or the week after, one of the two. So this game though, very streamlined, very well done. Just slightly more production value than a phone title.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, and like I think we called like the FF10-2 Last Mission game kind of in that same realm, but this is a much more solid game than that. Like it's the way it's put together. It's really simple. So you kind of go, well, no duh, they were able to do it, but it works pretty well, and I think I actually had a pretty darn good time in the gameplay aspect.
Yeah, there were a few times where I said I fucking hate this game when I was getting
it was difficult.
Leveled. But by the end, it was it's one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had on this show for a little while, actually. Like for months and months of Ultima Final Fantasy. I mean, I guess the last what have we played recently? Let me pull up our list. So we got. I think it's definitely more fun as far as like fun goes than the other Crystal Chronicle games.
Ooh, giving away your shit.
Well, maybe. That's not necessarily giving it away. I mean, that could just be.
Oh, give it away now.
That could just be me saying the gameplay is more fun. We all know that we both put story above gameplay every time, almost.
It depends on how fun the gameplay is.
That's true. It has usurped it a few times, like with FF5.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think.
So we played.
Type 0 was fun to play.
Type 0 was fun. Sure.
Tactics.
Then the
you know
tactics
what?
Games.
Yeah, those ones. That's when it's really fun for me. I enjoyed those a lot. So I guess since Tactics Advance 2 or A2, excuse me, since Final Fantasy Tactics A2 Grimoire of the Rift, I haven't had this much fun in a Final Fantasy game.
Okay.
Because Type 0 was fun, but it was not fun like this. It wasn't challenging fun. It was just, hey, I get to dodge. You know, it's.
I think the last great game we played was Vagrant Story, even with that final fucker. I think that was the last really well made game that we played.
Yeah, I like Tactics A2 a lot, but I think Vagrant Story is definitely more solid.
But I mean, that's kind of not a Final Fantasy. It kind of is. I don't know. Okay. So I like the gameplay a lot. You seem to like the gameplay too. It does get like ridiculously hard, and it's kind of uneven, and it's like, when is it going to get hard kind of thing?
Yeah, like the end of chapter 4 was, even though I died a few times in chapter 5, was harder than anything that the final chapter of the game had to offer. Like, it was insane.
That is true.
And we were both stuck on it for like days. Just days of being stuck on this one fucking area, and it's like, my god, I can't fucking beat this thing. And then I go and try to do the optional areas, and I'm like, I can't beat those either. Like, optional areas are in cahoots with chapter 4. They're like,
right.
oh, you want more karma? Well, you gotta earn it, boy. And
Earn your karma, boy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we can get into the music.
you want your karma? You better work, bitch.
Yeah.
That's what the fucking.
You want your karma, buddy? You better work, bitch. Okay.
That's the theme song for this fucking game.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Music and design, I almost have nothing to say about them. The music was just kind of filler. Every chapter had a theme, if I'm not mistaken. But I kept the volume low to stop it from driving me nuts, because it was repetitive.
It's just it's ingrained. And I played it mostly at night in the same room as the sleeping wife, so like I had it pretty low too.
Yeah.
Some of the music was good though. It's not good like, oh my god, that's so memorable, I'm going to listen to it again, but I think the final fights, the final areas music was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the map music I kind of liked. I thought it was fine. There wasn't any moment for me where I was like pissed at the music. There were times when I was like, all right, I really don't need to hear this anymore, because I was so mad at the level and the game that the music was triggering me, you know? But that's more because I was getting brutalized than anything else. And yeah, for me, the music's fine. I don't know. The design is fine, too.
Design is the exact same as the last 3 games. It's the same design, like the same art designer, too. Oh, it'll change with Crystal Bears. Don't get me wrong. We'll have something to say on the next game.
Oh, okay.
But the last 4 games have all looked the same.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It's the only thing that really makes this Final Fantasy is
the creatures.
The creatures, yeah. Even I would say the classes, it's like, well, it's only Final Fantasy because you made Crystal Chronicles. Like, it needs to be Final Fantasy because it's Final Fantasy, and having the behemoth and the cactuar are what make it Final Fantasy. And
the Ochus.
Yeah, the bombs, I guess, yeah. A few enemies or a few of your little pals are what make it Final Fantasy more than anything else. But, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I feel. Okay, well, we got one person who asked us some questions, so let's get to the questions.
All right, let's do it.
Questions for us. We would like to hear from you. To our forums. Or contact us on Twitter. Get on and ask your questions. We'll answer them within a week. This is the question segment. Ask and you will receive.
Okay, this is from Rude Rose. I asked for questions, and I got one person who answered. Thank you to our thousands and thousands of listeners.
Yeah, tens of thousands.
You're one of the biggest video game podcasts, and we got one person who gave us questions. So thank you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys care a lot about these Crystal Chronicle games. I remember doing the FF10 review and the FF9 review, and it was like pages and pages.
Yeah. Endless questions.
Like, I don't know. I've never played this. Fuck off. But I'll listen, because I see the fucking downloads, guys. Come on. What the shit?
I don't know, man. I think a lot of times what'll happen is, and I think it happened with this question too, like someone will come in and be like, well, I've never played it, but what about this? And then everyone else is like, well, that's exactly where I'm at. I haven't played it, but what do you got for me?
Yeah, there you go. So we got Rude Rose. Thank you, Rude Rose.
Yeah,
You're a good
you.
person. You've asked questions on the last 3 games. We really appreciate it. Okay, Rude Rose says, forsooth, hardy adventurers, my questions are as follows. Number 1, did your life as a Darklord compare to your life as a king? How did they compare? Did those two games seem to go together, or does there only seem to be a relation in the title?
All right, so the title is it's kind of misleading. So, like we said in the story section, if you didn't, yawn deeply and miss our discussion of this game's story, the game takes place after the first one. So really, I'd say it is connected, but it's not as connected as it could have been. And honestly, I think I would have preferred it if they would have made it exactly while you were playing the other one. And you could even lose at the end. Like, I've played games where you die at the end. Like, it's a thing. You could have made it happen.
Yeah.
And you could have been like Darklord, and Darklord just gets defeated, and you have to just live to a certain, point. Like with Crisis Core, you don't win in Crisis Core. You're left bleeding out on the ground. You just have to live long enough, and then you can die. It's the Bane line. Is like, and now you have my permission to die.
Yes. See, I thought you were like making up a Megadeth lyric.
Oh no.
Believe me, listen back to that. You'll hear it.
All right. But it's connected, and it's I don't know. I thought that part was kind of cool. I liked the connection that they had with the My Life as a King. I thought it was sort of fun. You got to fight Sir Hugh, and you got to fight Chime, and you got to fight yourself. That should have been like an epic thing where at the end of the fight, she walks up to the king and she like pulls off his mask and it's her underneath, and it's just like, oh, and then she pulls off her mask and she's him, and that's how I would have ended the game. Like, and then Stiltskin. No, she pulls off her mask and she's Stiltskin the whole time. No. Okay,
we're going Game of Thrones in this, aren't we?
And then she is also Stiltskin.
Jesus, I can't even.
Yeah.
I'm done.
But it was so. I mean, it was. I thought it was kind of cool how it was connected, and it's connected, but it's its own little thing. They're very different games as far as the gameplay goes, and the story is pretty similar. It's just kind of the aftermath of the first one, so it's a more direct sequel than any of the other games in this series so far, because you have Ring of Fates, which is like forever before the first Crystal Chronicles, and then you have Echoes of Time, which is after all of it, as far as I can tell, although I don't know if My Life as a King is really, if they give a shit about that in that game. But this one's like the most direct sequel. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it relates. I thought our idea was better, like you were saying, but it's fine. Yeah, it takes place 20 years after, and it's kind of the opposite thing.
Wait, it takes place 20 years after?
Or 16. It must be 16 years after.
Yeah, I was like, how powerful is this Darklord's loins? Like, he's able to reproduce from the grave?
No, it's like, well, I froze it because I had testicular cancer.
Yeah, I had a feeling I was going to get killed.
Someone went into my refrigerator and got it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, obviously.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Scientific syringe method.
Yeah, of course.
Turkey baster from Be Quiet or whatever that movie was.
Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe. Yeah, that's pretty much what they're all called. It's just Be Quiet or Shh. That's what the
classic movie. Shh.
Yeah, that's what they should make the 2019 like mid-year horror or like early year horror movie. It's just shh.
A Quiet Place. That movie could have just been called Shh.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. That's what they would have had to have said every like few minutes. So just
shh. That is pretty much the movie. Right?
Yeah, Don't Breathe, The Quiet Place, same ideas.
Hush, hush, sweet Charlotte.
Yeah.
Okay. Would this game ever be worth remastering /porting to the PS4? Absolutely, for like $1.
Yeah,
If
it would
you
have
buy
to be
for 99 cents.
It would have to be a cheapie.
Yeah.
But I'd probably play it again on a newer console for sure.
Yeah. What was the most Final Fantasy thing about this game? The behemoths.
Yes, the behemoths. It's about the most Final Fantasy you're going to get in here.
Yeah. Just the elemental creatures, basically. What is one element you would improve on the game if you were able? I'd do some switch-arounds on the levels and make it go more difficult as the game went on.
Yeah.
Instead of peaking it in the middle and being a dick and then moving on. So then we could have like a good discussion about the final boss. We're not able to do that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
So, there you go. Those are our 4 questions. Let's talk about Legacy and our listener reviews.
Right. So, the legacy of this game is non-existent. Not very many people have played it. Half of the people that I've heard of play it don't know what the game is, so I don't know if they actually did play it. Because someone was saying it was basically the same thing. I can't remember who that was, but it's not.
Correct.
Even story-wise, like it's almost the same thing, but it's just not quite. It's just a little later.
Yeah.
It has the same story concept, I guess, of warriors fighting monsters in this world, but I don't think it has a legacy whatsoever, and I think that's kind of unfortunate because I had a pretty good time.
Yeah.
For the most part, playing this game, I enjoyed the puzzles. I did in this game what I didn't do in Catherine, which is another puzzle game. I cheated in that game because I was like, I have to beat this game. Like, I'm not going to get it done in time. And I cheated, and I watched some fucking videos of people playing it, and that kind of ruined the game. And this game, I almost did that with, even though the strategy I found didn't work for me, and I ended up having to figure it out myself. And it was a very rewarding experience for me, just taking the time to, like, okay, that strategy didn't work. Like I wrote down a couple levels, like, all right, this guy comes now, this guy's like the next wave, so I need to prepare for these characters. Like I did a lot of things in this game that I haven't done for a while, and I just wanted to experience it naturally. And I think that's why. I think it's, I thought it was pretty fun. So
yeah,
I totally forgot what the question was, but
sorry.
Oh, legacy, yeah,
legacy.
Yeah.
I agree that this game is a forgotten game. Someday
what
Square will put it out for some bullshit thing, or someone will figure out how to pirate WiiWare titles, which probably has already happened. But otherwise, unless you're going to be a completionist with the Final Fantasy series, like we obviously are, then you're not going to come across this game. Although, to be fair, I think gameplay-wise, it is the best of the Crystal Chronicles series, and I am saying that now before having beaten the last one. I think it might have the best gameplay out of all of them. So that's kind of sad. But, it's a tiny little game, and if there was, like, cutscenes or something like that, it might have been, like, felt like a bigger title, and it might have more of a legacy, but it doesn't. We have one review from our listeners. It's kind of a half-assed little review, because this was the tweet. Okay, you ready for this?
Oh, yeah, I saw this one.
I go, Darklord is complete, onto Crystal Bears, and I put a picture of the credits going up on the screen.
Right.
Got 8 likes, thank you. Then the first response here is from 99 Heal Potions, which is previously known as True Hoax. The artist previously known as True Hoax. Says, I look forward to this review. Finally, a person who isn't me beat this game. And then I go, leave a review in the forums. And then he goes, but I'm lazy. There ain't nothing to say about it. It's a tower defense game that makes me love bombs and hate black mages. LOL. My experience with it was just, and he quotes, I wish I had a new FF game. I guess I'll play this. End quote. So, there you go. There's our listener reviews for this little-known game. No legacy. So we might as well get to our overall thoughts and our rankings. You kind of already gave your overall thoughts, but go ahead.
Yeah. It's worth it if you have it. If you can get a hold of it, it's a fun little game to play. It's not necessary whatsoever for your playthrough of the series, though, I would say. As much as I like this game, it's one of the least necessary games in the series. I would say My Life as a King is probably more necessary, just because it gives us a little bit of a taste as to what happens after you clear the miasma from the world in the first game.
Sure.
But honestly, you could just watch the first cutscene and capture everything you need to know about the world itself. That, hey, it's not so shitty now. And then you never have to worry about playing even that one. So this game, as much fun as I had, it's completely unnecessary for trying to play all the Final Fantasies, and you feel like you need to skip some because there are a billion of them. This is one I'd probably not worry about as much.
Well, if you're trying to play all the Final Fantasies, just go ahead and give yourself the rule that we didn't give ourselves, which is WiiWare titles don't count.
They're just mobile. It's just a different way of saying mobile title.
Yeah, so
that's all Wii is.
There's your new rule. It's not a necessary. I had fun, but it's not a necessary thing. Frankly, I'm really getting worn out on this Crystal Chronicles series. In a different way from how I was getting worn out on the Tactics games.
Yeah.
Because Tactics, they were really fucking long games.
Yeah.
These ones are just like little tiny cash grabs. So they kind of and they're like cheaply made, and you can kind of tell. And so that's kind of disappointing. This game is the most solid programming-wise. It's like there's no problems with the game itself. Which is something I would commend. But yeah, it's kind of a forgettable title, and probably not going to play it again. So that's kind of how I feel overall. But how do you feel it ranks in comparison to the rest of the series?
All right. Do you have our rankings for, or do you remember?
I do not have our rankings.
All right. So I'm pretty sure we both put Echoes of Time at the very top, Ring of Fate second, My Life as a King third, and then Original Crystal Chronicles fourth. And I know that
I might have put did we do the same thing? I don't think we did, Schweiss.
Maybe. Shit, they're all just so mediocre, like it's just so difficult to do.
All right, I'm gonna re-rank then, based upon time.
All right, that's fair.
Okay.
It doesn't become a classic until it's been out for 20 years, so that's kind of the same mentality of re-ranking.
There you go.
Based on how we feel right now.
I'm gonna re-rank based on how I feel because I don't want to look up the old episodes. Okay, so I am actually going to put this one as number one. And it's because the gameplay was fun, and the cutscenes were short, and everything worked the way it was supposed to. And the only frustration came from the difficulty of the game, not from the game being a piece of shit.
And it wasn't difficult because it was poorly made either, which is a problem at times with these Crystal Chronicles.
So it's a tepid number one, but it is a number one out of the Crystal Chronicles series. Then I am going to put Echoes of Time from last week. And then I'm going to put... Man, I'm going back and forth, but I think I am going to put Ring of Fates after Echoes of Time. Even though there's issues with Echoes of Time and with Ring of Fates. But I guess Echoes of Time's bigness is slightly better than Ring of Fates. And there's a lot of improvements on Ring of Fates. But then it decides to add it in its own problems. But whatever. And then My Life as a King. Second to last, although I think it's actually pretty solid. And then the original Crystal Chronicles, which we were all told it was the best one.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, from liars who never played the other games. As far as
I'm looking at my list of games beaten this year, and I'm like, I think that might be the worst one on here. That's fucking sad.
Yeah,
I think it might actually be the worst one on there.
I can't believe it's considered a classic.
Except maybe Digimon Cyber Sleuth.
Oh, that
Hacker's
was terrible.
Memory. I can't believe that came out this year and we played it this year. Like, what?
God, fuck.
What kind of what world do we live in?
Don't remind me of that shit. So yeah, I guess I am gonna keep with your rankings. Although I feel like I might have put My Life as a King a little higher before. I would say the top 4 games are kind of the same to me as far as like my enjoyment level.
Yeah.
And really the outlier as far as badness is Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah. I'm gonna put My Life as a Darklord at number 1 as well. Number 2, I'm gonna keep as Echoes of Time. I do think Darklord is more fun. I think it's a really solid little experience, and I kind of regret. Like, that was one thing I said when I finished the game. I was like, I really wish I could buy the DLC add-ons, like for those extra chapters of the game, because that'll be like 20 more levels to fight through, and you get more classes and stuff, and like it's more to play. But I can't get it anymore, and that's not something I felt about the other ones as far as the games go. So that one, and then yeah, I agree. Echoes of Time, more of a large world, more to do. I enjoyed it a lot, but not as much. And then third, I'm going to put My Life as a King third. So I do think it's pretty solid, well put together. Fourth, I'm going to do Ring of Fates. Good game, but yeah, got its flaws. And then I'll do original Crystal Chronicles at the very bottom.
Oh, wait, where's My Life as a King?
My Life as a King I put above Ring of Fates.
Okay.
Which I don't know if I did that last time or not, but they're honestly, like Joe said, they're all kind of the same.
Yeah. Today, this is how I feel about my ranking. You did that for FF8. I remember you changed the FF8 to FF4 ranking, and I was like mad at you when you did that for the original series.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right. Whatever. We're not perfect.
Yeah, you understand it now.
Well, I understand amnesia. I do understand that, yes. But there you go. There's our rankings, guys. It's all right. I had fun.
Yeah,
it's just kind of a little tiny game. Our next game is, of course, Final Fantasy Crystal Bears. So please go onto our forums or just fucking tweet me. I'll remember. If you played Crystal Bears at all, even if you didn't finish it, tell us what you thought of Crystal Bears, and also give us your questions for Crystal Bears. Crystal Bears is a really different game in this series. Schweiss, have you played it? Have you turned it on at all?
No, I have not.
Okay, it is definitely 2009 Final Fantasy.
Okay.
So it's really cutscene heavy, a lot of action, really dynamic. The art design is totally different. It's a lot closer to something. It's another big Final Fantasy game that came out in 2009.
Of course.
And then also it actually uses the Wiimote functions. Unlike all the other Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicle games so far. So, I mean, the Crystal Chronicle games so far have used the Wii stuff as like a regular controller. This one's actually using the motion shit.
Okay.
So, it's a way different experience.
That's great.
So,
fucking goddamn motion controls.
Well, there are games that use it well, and then there's Crystal Bears.
Yeah. I had a feeling that was going to be why that game was so poorly reviewed.
Well, I mean, okay, fuck, I'm going off topic on a game review, but I mean, that's why I was excited. I started the game, and I was really excited for the game, because I'm like, holy shit, this is way different, and I'm digging it. And then the gameplay happened.
God.
So now I dread turning it on, but I'm going to try to beat it this week.
All right.
In which case, guys, yeah, there's going to be a place in the forum, but if you want to tweet me, that's fine. Or if you want to send us an email at fffanatics123@gmail.com, you can do that as well. We just really we'd like to be able to talk a little bit more with you guys on these reviews, even on these like smaller games. So yeah, Crystal Bears is next, and then so basically after this week we have 10 more games for this show.
Yep,
weekly wise, yeah.
And then we become Every Once in a While podcast.
Yeah, that's true. We become Every Once in a While podcast, which is how most podcasts are. We're just joining the crowd.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it's going to go Crystal Bears, Final Fantasy Adventure, Chocobo Tales, Chocobo Dungeon, Dissidia 012, Dissidia NT, Curtain Call, Mystic Quest, FF Explorers, and then we'll end our weekly show with World of Final Fantasy.
That's right. One of the more recent games. That's kind of an interesting way to end.
And it's kind of like a game that has to do with all the other games. So
yeah, that's kind of a cool little recap.
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
I think so too. But anyways, guys, we're in the home stretch here. If we owe you a Patreon invite, we're going to try to reach out to you very soon.
Yeah.
And we got a radio drama to finish and a song Dave Mustaine needs to finish as well. But we're going to do it all in these next 27 weeks. We're going to do it. So
Yes.
All right.
Do it.
We'll see you guys next time.
Till then, as always, enjoy the Wii motion control grind.